I want to switch gears for a second. We talked about you coming into the administration. After you left the administration, you led America First Action and America First PAC to help the president get reelected, help advance his policies through advertising. You were kind enough to take pity on a young former press secretary and have me join this. But then after that, you helped found AFPI, America First Policy Institute. What are you guys doing? What would you tell people are your goals as far as what AFPI is seeking to accomplish before, hopefully, a next Trump administration?
So let me give you a little history about the founding of AFPI. The president and CEO, Brooke Rollins, was President Trump's national policy director. And she worked very closely with him in the White House. And we really all had anticipated another term for President Trump. And so the policies that had been laid out for his second term were really robust. A lot of them continuing what we were already doing, but, just increasing some of the other policies and looking at things differently, all which have been wonderful, I think, for the country. But that didn't happen. But these policies were in place. And now we just couldn't let them go to waste. And so Brooke Rollins and Larry Kudlow and Robert O'Brien, who were all right there in the White House, really started looking at this and talking with Jared Kushner and saying, okay, what can we do now to make sure that we can continue with these policies, develop new policies, making sure that Congress has the research, the white papers that they need to help them as they're drafting legislation, and not only the U.S. Congress, but also state and local governments. How can we be helpful and beneficial to them? And Brooke called me and we talked about my coming in and serving as chair. I was so delighted to do this. And so what we've seen with AFPI, America First Policy Institute, and now the sister organization, America First Works, is that we are able to, through our 22 centers, which have been developed, centers for energy, centers for education, Center for Small Business and the American Worker, Center for the American Dream, and American Prosperity. You can see, and we're very happy to have you look online at americafirstpolicy.com to see all of the policies that are being developed and the messaging then that is helpful for Congress to help push through those policies. If you look under, just take the Education Center. We developed a toolkit for parents who could download this toolkit and understand how they could be more involved in their local school boards, how they could run for school board, how they could impact education, in their areas. We have our, the Center for Energy. Well, what's going on now with, no drilling? What policies need to be in place, and how can we help push those in the local environment? So we're providing all of that backdrop for different centers and different aspects of the economy and for governance all over the country. And we are really being able to have a great impact. We have a whole center on election integrity for training poll watchers. These are the policies that are in place. We're not a political arm, and we're not endorsing particular candidates, but these are the policies and the rules and regulations that need to govern, and they're conservative policies for sure, but they do need to govern both locally and nationally to help our country continue to grow and to be successful.
Just real quick, is the goal to sort of hand that off to a next Republican administration and say, guys, here's sort of a basket of policies that you can, or as the Romney folks would say, a binder of policies that you can go through that are ready day one?
That is the goal, and to help draft executive orders that would be ready for a new president on day one, and also working to not only have policies ready in 2024 as the elections, go forth, and making sure our elections, do have integrity and that every single legitimate vote counts, but also ready to govern in 2025. So looking at all the different government agencies and working, we have over 500 volunteers. In fact, I think it's way more numbers than that now, who have been in these agencies, who are sitting and working with our groups at AFPI to say, okay, this is a great structure for this agency. Perhaps we could slim this down. Maybe you need to add a couple of people over here. Now, we're not writing names in as to who should be there for these particular jobs, but it's really the structure and the organization of the different agencies that are within government, so that when the next president is elected and he begins to look at then the names of the people he wants to fill in, that will understand the structure. And that's just something that we've never, really had before, ready to hand that off. It'll just put us so far ahead of the curve in the successful transition of our
Absolutely. Linda, always appreciate your time and what you're doing. You continue to serve in so many great ways, and you don't have to, frankly. You've been extremely successful. But I just, what you do to continue to give back and to advance the cause is so appreciated. So thank you for being with us and everything you continue to do.
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. It really is interesting, isn't it, that the people that you bring in matter. I made fun of Biden at one point when he's doing his cabinet at all because it's all identity politics, right? That there was no experience required. Pete Buttigieg, head of the transportation department. When he was mayor of South Bend, Indiana, I wrote this in my book, Radical Nation, 66 buses that he oversaw. You wonder why on every front there's a problem, right? Highways, seaways. There's nothing going well in Pete Buttigieg's wheelhouse because you appointed a guy who was LGBTQ and young, and that was your qualification. That's what you get. When you get Linda McMahon, you get someone who understands how to run a business. Small businesses thrive. More people go to work, right? Because she gets it. Dennis McDonough chose to head the Veterans Affairs Administration. Has he ever served? No. Is he a doctor that might be able to help reform healthcare delivery? No. What's his qualification? He was White House Chief of Staff under Obama. Oh, so let's take care of him. There's a big difference in how these administrations staff themselves, and I think that's important. The work that AFPI is doing, by the way, and Linda mentioned it, if you go to americafirstpolicy.com, you can see their work. I was there day one. I know how important it is to have the ideas, the policies, the resources, and they are basically handing everything over with a bow. Does that mean that Trump will do everything? No, but it gives them a head start. It gives them things to choose from, and it's critical what they're doing in terms of policies and staffings. Next week, by the way, we've got Newt Gingrich on tap. The speaker that led the revolution in 1994, is going to tell us what it's going to take to get it back, to stay in the majority, what policies, what hindrances, how Mike Johnson, the speaker, can navigate these things.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you click the link below to find out more, or you can go to SeanSpicerShow.com to stay up to date on all my content.